What's going on, everyone? So the Philadelphia 76ers did the right thing by unloading James Harden, sending him to the Los Angeles Clippers. And currently, James Harden and the Clippers are stinking up the NBA. They haven't won a game since they acquired James Harden, while Philly, they actually look pretty good still. And the idea was, okay, we're going to unload James Harden. We're going to get these expiring contracts, right? Get some players that actually want to play here and hopefully be competitive. Use the assets and those expiring contracts plus whatever else we have sitting in the chest. And let's go get another star to pair with Joel Embiid. And we got the reports yesterday that Zach Lavine is currently available for trade talks, that the Chicago Bulls and Zach Lavine have came to an understanding of like, hey, both parties are willing to depart, and the Chicago Bulls are very likely going to hit that reset button, hit that rebuild button. They got Zach Lavine, Alex Caruso, Vu, right? DeMar DeRozan. He is a free agent after this season, so they're going to want to try to get whatever they can to just make sure they don't lose him for nothing. But to me, Zach Lavine is the first domino to fall. And Zach Lavine is a guy that is now being targeted by the Philadelphia 76ers. It makes sense, right? Philly needs another guy that can come in, be reliable, provide some consistency, some scoring for the Philadelphia 76ers. Right now, Tyrese Maxey is on an absolute tear. Looks absolutely incredible. He needs to send James Harden a care package saying thank you for basically forcing your way out because it allowed me to shine. And so far, him and Joel Embiid have been the top duo in the league. But even with Maxey and how great he has been, there are still several questions, right? Well, one thing is that they definitely could use another go-to scorer, another consistent scorer, so that way they're not so reliant on Tyrese Maxey. You know, what does it look like if he has a bad game, a rough game? He's a young player, young talent. It's questions. Also, what does he look like as the main scoring option, not named Joel Embiid, in the playoffs? The idea is that he should be able, because he does have some experience, that he should be able to continue to perform well. But again, he's young, right? We've seen Joel Embiid just completely disappear in playoff games. Is Tyrese Maxey going to be enough to carry them in those moments that Joel Embiid just doesn't have it some night? So going and getting a guy like a Zach Lavine could kind of help offset that. Plus, you look at several of these other teams around the league, and a lot of them have just a lot of firepower, right? Philly looks good. I really like what we're seeing from Philly so far. But are they a legit contender? Personally, I don't think so. I'm sure some Philly fans do. And look, Philly, I think that they could definitely make some noise. But I think once you get to the playoffs, that's when you're going to start to see a lot of the flaws with Philly. I think that's when Philly would be in trouble. Now, I definitely believe that they could, make the second round at least. Hopefully at least the conference finals as is. But to be honest, I don't think that they're much worse than they were with James Harden. But even then with James Harden, it was kind of like, are they a real contender? Harden's upside, if he was to deliver as well as Joel Embiid, then yeah. But again, Joel Embiid likes to disappear. Philly doesn't really have anyone else that is a proven reliable guy. Not that Zach Lavine is this like super proven reliable guy either, but it just kind of gives you another just scoring threat for if a Tyrese Maxey has an off night or if Joel Embiid sort of disappears, right? Now it's not up to a young, unproven Maxey to handle all of the workload. You have him, and then hopefully Zach Lavine can step up. Now, the question and concerns with Zach Lavine is, can he consistently be that guy? When Zach Lavine is on, right? I mean, he is up there with just like some of the talents in the league. When he's got it going and he's cooking, that dude is an absolute bucket. His athleticism, his quickness, his speed, his ability to be just a 3-level scorer. He has the tools to just be an extremely impactful player. But again, it's the lack of consistency with him at times, and then also the injury concerns. Joel Embiid hasn't really been a model of health and consistency as well. And so if you add in a Zach Lavine, it's like, well, can he stay healthy and can he be consistent? Because then once again, you're kind of falling on Tyrese Maxey if they both completely disappear. Zach Lavine hasn't been this like super proven winner in the playoffs. So although the upside potential once again is better, or does Lavine make them a contender? I think he makes them much better than they are. I think he gives them enough firepower to compete with a Milwaukee Bucks or a Boston Celtics in the East, and then out west to go up against a Phoenix Suns, a Denver Nuggets. If the Lakers continue on their trajectory, maybe a team like the Lakers, the Minnesota Timberwolves, right? Some of these teams that really seem to have it going and thriving. I do think of Zach Lavine, again, if all things are clicking, then I think you now have enough to really compete, and you'd still be able to maintain a fair amount of depth, which is also important. Have some good size, still have some wings, some perimeter defense. The concern would be, how does the defense look for Philly? But it also is one of those things where, would Lavine fit with Maxey? Because how does this look? Joel Embiid is the clear-cut number one option. Maxey is okay with that. He has accepted it. He understands the sort of pecking order. He's also publicly talked about it. Like, this is Joel's team. Like, I'm just happy to be here type thing, right? You go and get Lavine, and Lavine's talent, he's very likely going to come in and want to be a primary scoring option. He might be willing to concede to Joel Embiid as like, okay, you're the MVP, this is your team, I'm coming to your team, I'll play second fiddle. But would he be okay with playing third fiddle to Tyrese Maxey? And would Maxey be okay with that? Where he's looking at it as like, hey man, like it's me and Joel, right? Oh wait, now it's not. Now I got a guy in Zach Lavine who's going to take 20 shots a game. Like, that's a real question as well about their fit. Also, you kind of run the risk of a sort of like the downfall of Chicago, where you have two guys that want to get the shots up, that want to be the scorers, and it's kind of like a you go, I go, a you go, I go, you go, I go. And Zach Lavine, he likes to score the basketball, right? And if he's not scoring, he doesn't provide that much else, if anything else, right? He's a guy that can light it up, torch it up, but what else could he give you in the games that he's not? Yes, he'd be a good off-ball threat. His three-point shooting would be very welcomed and helpful, but it would definitely, I don't know if it would go as smooth as many would think. Question, though, for Philly is, how much pressure do they feel to have the need to go and make this work? Right? Like, I actually think you can make an argument DeMar DeRozan might be a better fit than Zach Lavine for Philly. Just because I think DeMar is a little more willing. He doesn't give you the three-point shooting, but he still gives you that consistent scorer. And he's just a little bit better at making plays and kind of initiating an offense. Right? But when you look at Philly, their goal is to keep Joel Embiid as happy as possible. And one of the ways to keep Joel Embiid happy is to go get another star. But if there aren't really any other stars that make sense, now you're in this kind of predicament where it's like, okay, well, now what do we do? Right? Like, do we just gamble and roll the dice on Zach Lavine? Or do we remain patient and hope that another star becomes available that we can now go get, and then now we're in this position where it's like, okay, like let's go try to win an NBA championship, right? I think that they're going to end up making a real push for Zach Lavine. Now, the reports that have came out about it say that they're very likely not going to do anything until the trade deadline, and by that point, it's very possible Zach Lavine has gone elsewhere. There are several teams that are interested in Lavine. Even the Knicks right, are a team that are interested in Lavine and want Lavine, and we'll probably touch on that in a later video. But if Philly does kind of feel the heat and feel the pressure, then they'll probably say, okay, you know what? Let's just go get Lavine and then figure it out from there. And then hopefully if it doesn't work, we can make a trade or something and try to have that kind of like the James Harden thing where we trade him and now we kind of get some assets to make up, right? I also think if like the Sixers go on like a significant losing streak, then that starts adding pressure, right? Because Sixers have started off hot. They started the season 8-1, right? And the one game that they lost to the Bucks, I mean, they should have won that game. They were in full control of that game, even late, and just kind of lost that game, right? And now you go into game number 10 and you lost. You lost to the Indiana Pacers, who have looked fantastic, right? And granted, one loss isn't for concern, right? And you lost to a Pacer team that is number one offense and has looked, again, very good basketball team thus far. We'll see if that can continue. So it's not panic mode after one loss. But if, let's say they go on a 2, 3, 4, 5 game losing streak, do they start feeling that like, right? Like we got to do something. Joel Embiid, last thing we want to do is have him upset. And now he's like, oh, get me out of here. And now we're looking at a rebuild, right? Because you look at Philly's schedule, they play the Celtics, right? Celtics are capable of beating them. There's 2 game losing streak. Then you got the Hawks, the Nets, and the Cavs. 3 games that they should and can win. But you drop 1 or 2 of those because you're playing in Atlanta and you're playing in Brooklyn, right? So like let's say you split that, right? Let's say you do beat Atlanta and you lose to the Nets, right? And now you're 3 out of 4. And then let's say you beat the Cavs. Now you're 4-1, right? But then you got the Timberwolves, the Thunder, the Lakers, and the Pelicans, and then the Celtics again. Another tough stretch. If they end up losing to the Timberwolves, who have looked fantastic, the Thunder, who are this young, hungry team, the Lakers, who, if they continue to show the growth and promise that they have shown, all of a sudden you could be looking at like, hey, we're only 4 games out over 500, like another stretch like this, and we could be a play-in team, right? Like now that puts the pressure to go get Zach Lavine. Again, I'm not saying that will happen. I'm not saying that they'll be there. They can be patient right now, but I don't know if Zach Lavine is really the answer. It might just become the bandage that you need for now. The problem is if you trade for Zach Lavine and it doesn't work out, does that make Joel Embiid even more angry? It's like, dude, how many times are we going to keep rolling the dice here? So, tough, tricky spot for Philly to be in. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Should Philly go and get Zach Lavine? Do you think, no, stay away from him, be patient, see who else becomes available, because very likely someone else will be available. Every few months, some star somewhere becomes available. But again, whatever you feel, whatever your thoughts are, let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot, lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. See you all in the next one.